and I've got to go MJ #1. He hit a shot to win a national championship.
National championship.
I know he didn't beat the striker and the fullback and beat Davidson in the soccer national championship, but he did do that little thing called the basketball national championship. And I think, now, you're probably thinking, well, was Jordan a great college player? Jordan was a great whatever he wanted to be. He's the best to ever come out of the league.
This is not about who came out of the league, which, by the way, Mia Hamm professionally has scored more goals than anyone in international competition. She is the greatest soccer player, arguably, period, other than maybe Pele, of all time. She won 4 titles, Frank. Oh, you know what? It took her 5 years to do it. She did take a year off to win the World Cup in the middle of that run. Correct me, did Michael Jordan win an NBA title while he was at North Carolina?
I know she scored a lot of goals. Jordan scored more points against Phoenix one night than she scored goals, all right? It's the Phoenix thing I'm talking about here.
She scored more goals and had more assists than anyone in her sport, period. It's like Michael Jordan leading the country in scoring and rebounding every year while he was there. Greatest athlete. You don't even have the right Tar Heel on the list.
What number was Mia Hamm?
Doesn't matter. 5, by the way.
9.
Doesn't matter.
She was 9.
You do not know that.
I have no idea, but I think she was 9.
5.
She was 5?
Trust me, she was 5 on this. Somebody get a photo of Mia Hamm up there.
We're going to check that. He says Mia Hamm.
I pray
I say 5. Michael Jordan. We certainly have had a good time with this. What about, though, the best ACC programs of all time? We talk players and coaches. Best program ever coming up when the showdown continues, so stick around.
Come on, you don't even...
Greatest ACC program of all time. All sports. Florida State.
It's either between the Duke basketball team and probably Florida State football.
Florida State.
Florida State, even though they're kind of in a slump, but they're still the most dominant.
Florida State.
Florida State.
Even though I hate them with a passion, FSU football.
Florida State football.
It's got to be Florida State. And I'm not a homer.
University of Miami. Florida State. Duke.
Virginia Tech.
Next question.
Boston College.
Boston College.
Yeah, it's not that guy. I get the sense someone is a big fan of Virginia Tech.
Yeah, that guy's great, isn't he?
Yeah,
he was mad. Maybe? He was angry that we would consider anybody else, wouldn't he?
Virginia Tech.
That's beautiful.
That's what it is.
All right, best program of all time in the Atlantic Coast Conference. All sports, you pick it.
Okay, came down to me. And again, look, I'm going to give you a break here because there is only really one program. It's North Carolina women's soccer, 18 national titles. But I'll give you a break. I'll give you a break on that. 18 national titles in 25 years. However, it came down to me between the basketball side of things, and I had to go North Carolina there, and the football side of things in Florida State. And I looked at what Florida State was able to do as a program now. We're not talking about who is the greatest coach or player. As a program, 12 ACC titles in 15 years. They have dominated the conference for a span like no other sport, no other men's sport anyway, has dominated in that period. 2 national championships. If you've given them the length of time that North Carolina basketball has been around, I think their accomplishments are going to be right there and maybe even surpass them.
I don't completely disagree with you. I think if you did this, what FSU has done over a short period of time may be the most dominant in any conference any time. But North Carolina has done it for so long. They were the greatest program in a great league, too, now. I think that's what stands out about North Carolina basketball, which is why I'll take them, Mike. In a great, great league, they've always done it. Again, as I talked about with Dean Smith, when the eras change, when the length of the shorts change and the shoes change and the size of the arenas change, it was still North Carolina basketball. Dean Smith, Roy Williams, it doesn't matter. I think it's one of the great programs in America in any sport. Not quite as good as North Carolina women's soccer. I'll give you that.
About that.
Not as good as Mia and the girls.
Don't upset the little girls.
I'm not upsetting the girls. My daughter now is mad at me because of you. I hope you're happy about that. But I think North Carolina basketball, without question, was one of the great programs really of all time in any sport.
Look, I argue for Coach K as a coach at Duke, but if you take the program out of the Coach K era and you look at it in its entirety, it doesn't hold up to NC basketball. There's no question. 4 national titles, and I'm big on titles. I mean, titles determine the ultimate achievement. It's nice to be really good for a long period of time, to be dominant, to be the best, and that's what North Carolina had been. I agree with you there, but Florida State, I still think, in a compressed time period, to win the 2 titles in the ACC, the national titles, and 12 conference championships. I'll give you the point that the conference is nowhere near as competitive in football than basketball, but I still go with Florida State football.
All right, one other thing I do want to get to here is, if we talk about great programs, Duke basketball, as you talked about, has been spectacular. Where does Duke basketball fit in this whole conversation?
Well, they've got to be number 3. If you're talking about the major men's sports here, and I've got to keep that point clear, because, look, what else comes to mind?
Talk about here.
What else comes to mind? Look, I'm not going to bring up a college baseball program. You tell me. I don't know. Okay. But Duke basketball, 3 national titles under Coach K, 9 Final Fours, Frank. I mean, it's dominated an era, really the great team over the last quarter century in American college basketball experience, so they've got to rate highly on the list.
And you can almost make the point too, college basketball in this day and age is the hardest thing to dominate because there's so many teams. There's over 300 Division I teams. You only have 12 scholarships. To be able to still dominate the way Duke has is pretty spectacular. I don't think there's any question about it. And Coach K is a brilliant, brilliant coach. Maybe the best modern-day coach of any sport. You made a point about them. Maybe could be the best modern-day coach of any sport.
Right, and I'll tell you what, right now, NC basketball over Duke basketball for the present time, so they win on that score too.
All right, almost out of time. We'll wrap it up. Our ACC show, we'll wrap it right after this.
You're tuned into the place for the biggest debate on the hottest topics in sports. It's the 1010 XL Showdown presented by Florida Telco.
Welcome back to 1010 XL Showdown, the Mia Hamm edition, brought to you by Title IX and by Nomar Garcia-Parra. You know he was a Red Sox guy now, right? You took the Red Sox guy's wife in that.
He left, okay, and he stinks now, too. He's horrible. Okay. He came off the steroids, and he's no good anymore.
We've talked about the great ACC. All right, let's get into this a little bit. The basketball league. And one thing I think is so great about it, so many programs have been so good. Maryland has national championship. NC State has national championship. Wake Forest has some great, great teams. Where's the ACC going in basketball? Is it a 2-team? Is it becoming a 2-team league, you think?
No, I don't think it is, because you still see those kind of programs. Maryland popped up. Wake Forest has popped up. We're talking about in the last 10 years. I don't think you can take a 2 or 3 year snapshot and say definitively this is where the conference is headed. I think North Carolina shows that people still want to play there. Roy Williams has done a great job bringing in athletes, and they really joined the modern age in the sensibility of, you know what, you might only have them around for a year or two. Mike Krzyzewski kind of got dragged kicking and screaming into that and still doesn't embrace that philosophy. So I think Duke, it'll be interesting to watch to see if they struggle a little bit or if he'll go more towards a mercenary type role and get those guys that are obviously only looking to get on a college campus for a year at a time.
For the sake of our viewers in our area, Florida State in this place in ACC basketball, I think it's deplorable they can't do more. I think Leonard Hamilton's got to go. I think Steve Robinson should have gone sooner. I think it's one of the reasons Dave Hart's going to go. I think the FSU basketball program has been to have those resources in this state in a sport where you don't need that many guys. I think FSU basketball has been deplorable, and it's deplorable they can't get better.
Well, you and I have talked about this, that the change at the top, the head coaching position, I think it would have been a tough sell based on the wholesale changes they made on the football coaching staff. I think that was too much turmoil because I think this was the time to do it. No more excuses, no more, oh, it's the selection committee. You don't leave it in the hands of the selection committee. Like you said, you've got resources, you've got athletes, you've got to get the job done. And you know what? Everyone that's come up to Florida State's level of play in football, why isn't Florida State coming up to everyone else's level of play in hoops?
I think Leonard Hamilton's been so bad, I'd fire him, hire him back just so I could fire him again. That's how bad Leonard Hamilton's been. I think he's been awful. The ACC in football, supposed to get better with Miami and Virginia Tech.
Right.
Virginia Tech's done its part. Miami hasn't done
Where's
its part.
Miami?
They need Miami in that league.
If the ACC could claim Miami's past as part of their legacy, they'd look a lot better, wouldn't they? But you're right. Miami needs to get back. Florida State and Miami both need to get back. I don't think it needs to be a sense where it's the two bullies on the block anymore. You need to have a little bit more of a sense that Virginia Tech can pop up or Clemson can pop up and win this league and be a national power and a player in the BCS.
Yeah, and I think if FSU, look, ever since they all got together and had this big ACC football party, FSU's won a title. I give them a little bit of a pass in football. Shame on Miami. Miami needs to come back. Virginia Tech, I think, will be in the mix. I think the ACC needs Clemson in football. They've got 80,000 seats. I think they need the 3 new teams. I think they need Clemson in football as well.
Easy for the Gator fan to give Florida State a pass in football. I don't think Florida State fans are giving them a pass in anything right now.
I think they're going to be good this year. We'll see.
see.
Folks, that is our program. Thanks for being part of it. It's 1010 XL Showdown. For Mike Dempsey, I'm Frank Frangie. So long.
All right, Florida State football, NC State.
The 1010 XL Showdown is a production of Spectrum Films presented by Florida Telco Credit Union.